They The King Cobra. Magnificent creature, nature's grim reaper and symbol of lethal purpose. Unseen until it strikes. They
If I was going to do something incredibly evil, how ironic would it be that the Catholic Church, or whoever, would use the one symbol of an animal that represents evil in all religion, which is either the snake or the dragon, which is actually just a snake with legs. You take that snake or that
Ladies and gentlemen, President Woodrow Wilson said this, quote, "There is a power so organized, so subtle, so complete, so pervasive, that they had better not speak above their breath when they speak in condemnation of it." End quote. Now bear in mind that this was the President of the United States of America, a very powerful man, a very well-connected man. He knew what he was talking about. History is replete with whispers of secret societies, accounts of elders or priests who guarded the forbidden knowledge of ancient peoples. Prominent men meeting in secret who directed the course of civilization are recorded in the writings of all people. The oldest on record is known as the Brotherhood of the Snake, also called the Brotherhood of the Dragon. And it still exists under many different names. The Brotherhood of the Snake is devoted to guarding the secrets of the ages and to the recognition of Lucifer as the one and only true God.
in drugs, and why is a man of the cloth supposedly putting more faith in science and a drug than he is in telling people to pray to God?
Science requires sacrifice.
I've said this for about a year now, that I actually believe this is more of a religious war on the entire world. I've been adamant about that, actually. People died. In February of 2020, the Wall Street Journal was allowed to produce an article, and they particularly speak to the word virus. Wall Street Journal was allowed to produce an article, and they particularly speak to the word pandemic. And in this article, it actually states that the Latin definition historically for virus, originally and historically, virus meant and means venom. So I started to wonder, well, what about the name corona? Does it have a Latin definition or a definition at all? So I actually looked up what's the definition. And on dictionary.com, it brings up 13 definitions. Corona, religiously, ecclesiastically, means gold ribbon at the base of a mitre. And I didn't know what a mitre was. So I copied it and pasted it and then hit images. So this actually could read the Pope's venom, pandemic. It also can read crown. Corona means crown also in Latin terms. Corona means crown. Visually, we see kings represented with a crown symbol.
Right.
So put that together for me. King,
Cobra,
venom. It actually could read King Cobra venom.
The secrets of these groups are thought to be so profound that only a chosen, well-educated few are able to understand and use them.
where there's been over like a 10-year period where a company has been funding a research study gene mapping all the genes of the venoms and proteins and peptides inside of king cobra venom. And in January 2020, they published their findings. Oh, ask me if I was shocked when I saw that it was 19 toxic venom proteins that they isolated that specifically target organs in your body. So out is, has that ever been fact-checked? And I wanted to know, was there ever any mention that the source could have been a snake?
And?
Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. Over and over and over in the media in January and February of 2020 are non-stop publications that the original source could either be from bats, snakes, or pangolins. And every time the snake is mentioned, fact checkers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, constantly fact check it and spin it to the bats. There's no fact checking about bats. They keep letting you look at bats. In the beginning, in January of 2020, the scientists inside of China said this can't be from these bats. These bats hibernate and it's the winter. When they did genetic sequences from the antibodies in the people who were sick in Wuhan, they found that their genetic sequence was not most like bats. They were most like two snakes. Proteins from the Chinese krait and the king cobra. Then I find in
Doctor, we're hearing about this outbreak being linked to snakes. How so?
So yeah, Dave, Chinese scientists have analyzed the genetic sequence of the virus, and it really appears that snakes like the Chinese krait and the Chinese cobra may be the source of the deadly coronavirus. They concluded this after identifying that the 2019 NCOV was a mix or recombination of two coronaviruses. One was known to infect bats, but the other had origin that was unknown. After considering other animal hosts, scientists concluded that it may have come from snakes. Now,
they were most like two snakes. Proteins from the Chinese krait and the king cobra. Then I find in April of 2020, there's a research study published in France where they're finding that the receptors in the brain called nicotinic acetylcholinesterase receptors, that these are actually bound most tightly to snake venom. There's an actual doctor who works at the University of Pittsburgh in May.
This is insane right here.
In May of 2020.
Yep.
Works in a computational lab dealing with genetic sequencing. And he's been researching for 5 months. Sequencing of spike proteins, trying to solve the mystery of SARS-CoV-2 victims. And he says he's got a big press release. They're going to actually announce all their findings. And Bing Liu is his name.
Setback in the quest to understand coronavirus after a researcher is shot and killed. 37-year-old Bing Liu was on the verge of making significant findings on COVID-19.
And that
Our cover story tonight is about a doctor in Wuhan. You've probably not heard of her because her story has been hidden by the mighty dragon. By the mighty dragon. By the mighty dragon.
Since their knowledge and actions have been kept secret. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for those who are diligent and who search, it is all there. Some of it has become public knowledge. The greatest percentage is hidden in esoteric writings concealed by a language of symbology.
and get those genes of that serpent to insert itself into your God-given created DNA? I think this is the plan all along.
Very nice.
So far, we've created 20 Neo-Vipers. 19 stand before you.
Is it working?
We injected 1,000 cc's of the nanomite solution into each subject. When they finally stopped screaming,
consider it part of your continuing education into how we got here and who's bringing it about and what does it all mean. Tonight's not going to solve that. It's going to present you with a mystery. But nevertheless, this mystery is crucial to what is happening today. And I believe that when it's ultimately solved, what will be presented to the world will be a deception of a great magnitude. And could
continue my research.
I appreciate your thirst for knowledge, Doctor, but this world is messy enough. No. What it needs is unification. Leadership. It has to be taken out of chaos by someone with complete control.